And welcome back to Coast. Our special guest, Leslie McGuirk, the astrologer. Her website is her name, linked up at coasttocoastam.com. Her book is called The Power of Mercury. Leslie, where do people get your book?
They can find it at any of their local bookstores if they are lucky enough to still have one, or obviously on Amazon, Barnes & Noble website. So it's out there.
You enjoy any more books coming?
I hope to write a book about all the amazing coincidences and spiritual events that have happened in my life, and that is definitely on my plan. I feel as if there's a lot of stories that have happened to me that prove that we have an ability to live magical lives if we can raise our vibration, and I'd love to share some of these stories about proof of miracles and the afterlife and all of the things that have occurred to me, and I'm looking forward to finishing it. So it's in the works.
Good for you. Good for you. Since you've been doing astrology these 40-plus years, have you ever encountered a person that you didn't want to do a reading for?
Yes, a few times. There was one person in particular I remember looking at their chart, and I had never seen anything like it, where they were dealing with more difficulties than I've ever seen. And what was challenging for me is that my goal is to always make people feel hopeful and optimistic about the future. And some people are just really dealing with a lot, and it's not their fault, George. It's just the deck of cards they were given was really difficult. So it doesn't happen very often, but maybe I've only seen 2 or 3 charts like that in my whole life, but whenever I get one of those, it's imperative for me to figure out a way to get that person to realize that despite the difficulties, there's always a way out. And those are a little heavy duty, but I always just have compassion for people's journeys, and my job is not to judge it. It is what it is. So as I said, we're all just pieces of music, and I'm like a conductor, and I'm telling people that you have this wiring system, you have this piece of music. I'm not able to influence it. All I can do is give suggestions and tell you that the drums are too loud or the flutes need to be more prominent. You have to figure out a way to recalibrate what you've been given. And I just think it's just an amazingly beautiful art form and way to help people have the healthiest, best lives they possibly could.
If you meet somebody, do you know right away whether they're Libras or Geminis just by talking to them?
Not usually, because what is confusing is that we all have something known as a rising sign. And, for example, my rising sign is Leo, which is extremely outgoing and very friendly, smiley, big personality. But I'm a Cancer, George, and a Cancer is a totally different animal. Think of what a crab does. It hides in its little hole. It's kind of shy. So when somebody meets me, I don't think that they would necessarily guess that I'm a Cancer. A lot of times what I will pick up on is what their rising sign is. What do they look like? How do they act when they enter a room? It's actually a really important part of the chart to know how people perceive you. So it's something that is kind of fun to play with, because a lot of times when you guess somebody's sun sign, you're actually probably guessing their rising sign.
Well, let's spend a little time with our callers. I'm going to give you the birth dates first, Leslie, and then I'll go to the caller, okay?
Okay.
So we will start with January 28, 1958. January 28, 1958, which also happens to be my sister Gail's birthday. We're going to Diana in Ogdensburg, New York. Welcome to the program. Hi, Diana.
Hi, everybody.
Good to have you with us.
I'm sorry, but I have to have my phone on speaker because it doesn't work any other way right now. It's been quite a while I haven't called in, but I've listened to a lot.
All right, well, your quality's not very good, so ask you a quick question, and I'll let you listen.
Yep. I want to know if my luck is going to change. For the past 5 years, I've had a lot of things happen to me. My life's a country song. And I was just wondering if I'm going to get out of this debt that I'm in right now and if things are going to change.
All right.
Okay, yes. So this is really important, Diana, that you understand what's been happening to you for these last 5 years. It's very similar to what I was describing about that kind of hyperactive, accident-prone, unsettled feeling that I have going on with my chart, because your moon is in Taurus. I have the exact same placement as you. And right now, up in the sky, Uranus is sitting on your moon, sitting on your emotions. So what it makes people feel like is emotionally, it makes you feel as if you're living inside of a pinball machine. You're anxious, you can't calm down. And in your chart, you also have, just in your natal chart, you deal with this every single day. Uranus is opposite your sun, which means there's friction within your chart on a regular basis where you feel as if unexpected, strange things keep happening to you. Does that feel pretty accurate? That's what your life has felt like?
Quite, yes.
Okay.
You just hit the nail right on the head.
Right. So I want you to have compassion for yourself. You are an incredibly nice person, and you're an Aquarius, and astrology would be really, really helpful for you, because when your chart is beautiful, it's really beautiful. You're very strong. I mean, physically, you're amazing. I mean, I would imagine you don't get sick very often. Am I correct?
I've got them on hold now.
Oh, okay.
Go ahead.
Diana?
No, go ahead.
Oh, okay. So she's got this very healthy chart. And so the thing is, with this Uranian aspect, the most important thing you can do is, if you're like in a New York City subway getting tossed around, you want to just stay calm and realize, okay, this is what the weather is right now. We don't want you to fight it. It is passing. It's not going to stay this intense. It should get better. Every month that goes by, it gets better and better.
When you said we're made out of stardust, are you talking about the solar system stardust of 4.5 billion years old?
Yes, we're made out of all the things that are up there that stars are made of. We are part of the cosmic system, and we have to believe that those planets up there are part of us, just like we're part of the ocean and part of everything is connected. And we have to, I think it's best for us to live from a place of realizing we are not separated from nature, which includes all the planets. That's part of nature too.
Next up, April 20th, 1964. April 20th, 1964, we're going to Oceanside, California. Rain is with us. Hello, Rain. Welcome to the program.
Hi. Nice to be here. Hi, Leslie.
Hi.
Hi, George.
Hi. You have your question, Rain? Go ahead.
Yes, my question. It feels like my life has been on slow motion lately, so I just want to know if it's going to start to pick up and get back on track.
Okay, so guess what, my friend? You are another Taurus person. So you've got your Sun in Taurus, your Mercury in Taurus, and Jupiter in Taurus. So just like the last person I talked with, her moon was in Taurus. You have also just been having a very intense time. It's just that Uranian energy, and it's very exhausting, all right? You basically are born to be pretty genetically cheerful. I mean, you're not normally, you don't normally get too down, I would think. Am I correct?
Yes, correct.
Okay. So it's just, again, this system of understanding that when you're living inside the pinball machine, try not to overreact to it. It's just weather. So imagine you're driving your car and there's hail coming out of the sky and it's a little scary. You got to hold on to the wheel a little more tightly. Try not to freak out about it because things are getting better. Jupiter is like the cleanup crew. Uranus comes in with like a jackhammer and digs up all the concrete, and it makes you feel very anxious and unsettled. Now, Jupiter is in Taurus. Jupiter is the planet of good fortune, and that is coming in to smooth things out. So things are definitely getting much better. You're also going through your Saturn return right now. Do you know what that is? Have you ever heard of that?
Explain that to us.
Okay. So basically, Saturn is the planet of restrictions and hard lessons, and when it comes back to where it was when you were born, there's something really important for you to shift into. And when these periods come, they can feel a little unsettled, but they're actually super positive because it's like going from fourth gear into fifth gear. So there are lots of changes coming up for you, and this is good because you've been through quite a lot in the last year or two.
Leslie, when there are planetary changes or astrological changes, does that play around with astrology?
Absolutely. So right now, Pluto, which is the planet, some people don't think it's a planet, but I think it definitely is. It takes over 20 years to get through a zodiac sign. So right now, Pluto is in Capricorn, and we're going to shift. It's going to go into Aquarius exactly on January 21st. And we're going to get a taste of a new kind of future for all of us. It's going to feel like, oh, my God, finally we've crossed this threshold. But then, George, unfortunately, it's going to back up again, and it's going to go back into Capricorn on September 1st through November 19th of 2024. So that's where this stress comes through, because these planets, they move forward and then they move backwards, and it makes us feel very unsettled. And especially with these last two callers having all those planets in Taurus, they're getting hit by another planet, Uranus, which is just making them feel anxious and unsettled. So it's going to shift. It's like a roller coaster. We have to anticipate the ups and the downs, and right now they're definitely more intense than they've been for many of us. This is like the first time we've been on a roller coaster, this high and low.
Let's go next to June 21, 1954. June 21, 1954. As we go to Nevada City, California, Mary is with us, west of the Rockies. Welcome, Mary.
Hi, thank you.
You're very welcome. Do you have your question?
Oh, yes. I just feel like I've been in stuck energy for quite a while, a few years, and I'd like to know what's going on in that area.
Okay. Well, you have a different kind of difficult weather pattern than the last two callers. So you were born with your moon in Pisces. You are a very, very sweet, very gentle person, and you also are usually quite optimistic. So right now, you're not used to the weather that you're getting at the moment, because right now, Saturn, who's like a taskmaster, drill sergeant, coach, he's sitting on top of your moon in Pisces on your emotions. So you're feeling heavier than normal emotionally, and this does not feel good for someone like you because you're used to being more up all the time. So just try to realize that pressure you feel, the emotional pressure, it's going to be there for this whole year, and it doesn't have to be a negative thing. So I always tell people with Saturn, don't look at it as if you're getting kicked in the butt. Look at it like you've got an Olympic-level coach who's come to visit, who's trying to help you get to a new level of emotional awareness. So it's going to pass, but it's a pretty serious time for you. Would you say that you feel a little more serious than normal?
Yes, absolutely. And how do I move forward, though, in this situation?
So what you want to do is you have a very strong chart for having incredible intuition, and you're very, very kind and very sensitive. So you want to just be patient with yourself and realize that, again, for you, your body needs to be very grounded, and the more you can get outside, the better it will be for you, because you don't have a lot of abilities right now to kind of figure out how to recalibrate your emotions. So this time period, you're going to have to start doing things differently. What worked before for you will not work going forward.
Mary had an interesting question as well, and that is, how do you take what you learn from astrology and apply it to your life?
So basically, you take these weather patterns or the information that's in your chart, and you start to learn how to operate from the highest vibrational degree that you can with what you were given. So with this last caller, the fact that she's basically a very gentle, sweet, nice person who has this energy on her right now that feels like someone's got a boot on her back. When you understand that boot is meant to be there right now, then you kind of can relax into it, George, and you don't have to fight it. Just say, this doesn't have to be negative. Maybe that boot is actually trying to get you to do things differently. So taking up meditation or doing Qigong or just trying something different would really be helpful during this time. And the other thing that can happen during this transit that this last caller is having right now, a lot of times it's showing up as a teacher enters her life. So that's very, very nice and wonderful. So the key is to stay open to the changes that these planets are inviting into your life at this time.
Do you believe in karma?
I do believe in karma because I see patterns in people's charts that it's hard to explain if there wasn't karma. And I see ancestral karma, too, which is very interesting. I will see like a grandmother, a mother, a daughter, and a granddaughter. All of them have the exact same pattern. So if that's not karma, I don't know what is. How can you explain that? And it's generational. I'm also a big fan of the work of Bart Hellinger, who does family constellations, and he said that all people who have any kind of problems, a lot of times you can find the root cause of any patterns in your life from ancestral trauma. So when I do readings for people, a lot of times I have a whole team of people that I work with, so I can send people for family constellations or EMDR therapy or functional medicine doctors. There are all sorts of things that we can do to help us get to where we need to go. So I'm kind of like a diagnostic person, and I'm not a mechanic. I can't interfere with your chart, but I have people, colleagues that I work with in the health and healing, mental health, physical health arenas that can do more mechanical things to help people.
So that old saying, what goes around comes around, is pretty accurate.
Yes, I think so. Yeah, you always want to try to live your life with this thought. The way I do anything is the way I do everything. So if you live your life from that viewpoint, you will live a much happier karmic life because we don't want the negativity to come back on you. I think things do come back, and it reflects in your life.
Why is it sometimes, Leslie, for some people, things just don't go right?
It's because a lot of times it's either they were born with a very difficult chart and nobody showed them the way out, and other times it's because of the weather. It's sometimes the weather is just horrific. And I once, this was years ago, I had this woman who was this amazing, she was a metaphysical teacher at a very high level, and she called me up and said, Leslie, I feel like I'm losing my mind. I can't, nothing is going right, everything's a mess. And I looked at her chart. I had never seen a weather pattern as horribly difficult as what she was going through. And once she understood it, and I said, look, I'm going to tell you how long it's going to last. You just have to grin and bear it. It's
and weather the storm, basically.
That's it. Weather the storm. And once, that's why a lot of people who feel suicidal, I just, last time I talked with you, there was a caller on Coast to Coast who, she contacted me right after she tried to commit suicide and decided she had heard my voice in her head, what I said on the program, like, gosh, if I could only get a hold of people who feel like there's no hope, because I know I can give people hope. I know that there's...
Oh, you've saved many, many lives, Leslie. We're going to come back and wrap things up with final calls on Coast to Coast AM. And welcome back to Coast. George Norrie with Leslie McGuirk, the astrologer. Leslie, you ready for more calls?
Yes, I am.
Let's pick it up by going to August 31st, 1969, 8/31/1969. We're going to St. Paul, Minnesota. Jeff is with us. First-time caller. Hey, Jeffrey, welcome.
Hey, thanks.
Good to have you on the show. What's your question for Leslie?
Well, I guess, so I retired last June, and I'm 54 now. I retired when I was 53, and I'm just, wondering what I'm going to do next, and maybe, if there's something in astrology that can tell me that.
All right. Leslie, take it over.
Okay, cool. So, by the way, you have your moon in Taurus just like me, and some of the other people have called tonight. So all of you guys are all feeling the effects of big changes that have been going on. For you, you're through the most of it, so it's absolutely the right time now for you to be doing something original. Your brain needs to be highly stimulated all the time, and you have a very positive, upbeat kind of way of being, and you're actually a born teacher. Have you ever thought about teaching or coaching?
You know what? I just think about doing that with the people I know and helping them out, if I can give advice, but if it's taken. But otherwise, no, I'm not wanting to be a teacher.
Right. Well, you have a natural ability to help people feel better, and you're great at bringing enthusiasm into people's lives and helping to guide them. So there are tons of different professions, not technically being a teacher, but you know, someone could be a dentist and be a teacher. They could have a different profession, but there's something that you must do in your life that has to do with sharing your good humor and your wisdom, because you definitely have it.
All right. Thanks, Jeffrey. Good luck to you. 54 is pretty young to retire, isn't it, Les?
Yes, I think that's amazing. That's great.
Since you've been doing astrology readings, how many readings do you think you've done?
Thousands and thousands. I have no idea, but a lot. Many years. So, and I think what's interesting is that I learn through all the people that I've worked with, because what happens is I start seeing patterns, and then I have proof that what I'm seeing is actually accurate. So that's, I think the best way to learn astrology is to do a lot of charts, and it's just the same as music. You've got to play it and practice it. It's not something you can read about in a book on how to play the guitar. That's very difficult. So astrology is something that needs to be played with, and you need to practice it. And that's the great thing about the way I'm teaching my students, is that we make it playful and fun, and it should be something that is not, it shouldn't take 40 years to get decently good at reading a chart. So that's kind of my goal with people, bring them to a high level pretty quickly.
Yeah, who continues to help you and train you and push you? Do you get that anymore?
That's a great question. I think that my students do that for me, and also my clients. A lot of times I'm just totally humbled by the stories that they tell me. Sometimes it's years after having a session with someone. Like, for example, there was this woman, she was in her 60s, and she wanted to have a boyfriend, and I told her, I looked at her astrocartography map, and she lived in L.A., and I said, look, the place for you to go for love would be Denmark. And she laughed at me and thought I was absolutely crazy. Well, George, 6 years passed, and then she contacts me, and she said, Leslie, you're not going to believe this. I have a boyfriend now. I met him in L.A., but he's Danish, and he actually has a house in Denmark.
There you go.
And I go back and forth. So I'm humbled by these things. This feels, like a miracle. And if I can bring that kind of joy to people's lives, that's what motivates me. That's what keeps me going. And it is very humbling. I just feel that astrology is profoundly beautiful, and I call it the language of compassion. It's the best way to get to the heart of a human being's ability to be happy.
This next one is December 14, 1956. December 14, 1956. We're going to Rancho Cucamonga, California, where Carol is there. Hi, Carol.
Hey. Oh, my gosh, I'm so glad that you took my call.
We got you in.
Real quick, I traveled. I was in the military, and I traveled everywhere. I moved a lot, and then other jobs I had after that, I traveled a lot. Finally, I retired from all my jobs, and I settled in an apartment complex, and I thought this was going to be my home forever. Met a lot of good friends here, and my dog decided to get out twice in 10 months. And now they're evicting me. Should I want to know if this is something that I should let happen and I go, or should I fight?
Okay.
What is in my future? Should I, because I'm used to moving. What is in my future?
Okay. I think you should look at this as a positive thing, because right now Jupiter, the planet of good fortune, is coming onto your moon. You're like the fourth caller that's had their moon in Taurus, which I have the exact same thing as you and all these other people who have called tonight. Isn't that amazing, George? Think of the coincidence of that. The odds of people having this is 1 in 12. So Uranus, the planet of movement and change, which is what you've been living with your whole life. It's been right on your moon for a while, and it's disruptive. So when things come at you that are out of the blue, like this eviction, it's actually part of the cycle. So I would flow with it. Jupiter's coming through to make it happier for you. Wherever you're going to end up next will probably be better. So I wouldn't fight it. That's my personal opinion, but remember, you have free will. The best thing you can do is listen to your inner guidance system. But astrologically, I would say this may be a blessing in disguise. So I would embrace it and flow with the change.
What's your gut tell you, Carol?
I was thinking too. I always know that I never figure it out until after I move, and then I figure it out why I was sent to that new place. So great. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
You're Sagittarius, so you're good at movement, so go for it.
And move on, right?
Yep, exactly.
March 3, 1954. March 3, 1954, New Paltz, New York. We go to Jody. Welcome to the show. Hello, Jody.
Hi, thanks for taking my call. Leslie, thank you for the work that you do to help people.
Thank you.
So I have Cancer rising, and Pisces with Cancer rising, and I'm very good at communicating and also pulling things from the unconscious and communicating. But I wanted to know, by looking at my chart, if you could tell me what I'm born to do. Like, what am I here to do? Is that something you could tell me? I'd be grateful. Thank you.
Sure. Okay, so you are definitely here to share you have a very gentle, beautiful spirit to you. You're a triple Pisces. Not only do you have your Sun, your Mercury, and your Venus in Pisces, but you also, with the Cancer rising, you're just a super kind, gentle person who wouldn't hurt anyone. So you have a very comforting effect on people. You're also filled with intuition and incredible ability to help other people. So your higher purpose would definitely be an uplifting, like a coach or teacher, similar to the last guy. You've got a lot of gifts here. You're very smart and incredibly intuitive, and you make people happy. Do you feel like you do?
Yeah. I like helping people a lot, and I also did animal rescue for many years. I like taking care of animals and helping people. Yes, thank you.
So that's what you should do. And also, right now, Saturn. Remember that planet that brings restructuring to people's lives? It's in Pisces, so this is the time for you to try to figure out new ways to help people. That's animals, whatever. Just keep breaking the patterns and try new things, and the right job, the right place will show up for you. But just remember, you're in service to help others. That's your reason for being born.
If they found another planet in our solar system, and there are many who think there is one, would that affect astrology?
Perhaps. I don't know. I think all things that are out there in the universe that we know more about, it just adds another level, another dimension. But I think it's through patterns, through time, that we find out how things operate. So it might take many years to figure out what that new planet would be doing. But for sure, there's got to be an influence. Everything out there, I think, has an influence on us.
Next up, April 24, 1949. April 24, 1949. We go to Modesto, California. Hello, Lucille. Thanks for holding.
Hello. Thank you for being there.
Sure thing. What can we do for you?
Okay, I'm thinking about joining a group, and I'm wondering what Leslie picks up on.
So what kind of group are you thinking of joining?
Native American.
Beautiful. That's great. I mean, you are a very deeply spiritual person. You agree with that, correct?
Yes.
And right now, again, you've got 3 planets in Taurus. This definitely is the night for people with a lot of Taurus planets to call. It's amazing, George. Like almost 80% of everyone who's called has the same thing. So right now, Jupiter, the planet of good fortune, is expanding who you are out in the world, and you need to be around exciting new thought people. You need to be with folks who are on a very spiritual level, and you've also got Neptune right on your moon right now, literally today. So absolutely anything that increases your spiritual awareness, brings you to a higher vibrational level, it's the most perfect thing for you to do right now. So you're spot on, girl. Go for it.
All right. Good luck, Lucille. Next up, let's go to December 23, 1953. Birthday coming up in about a month. December 23, 1953. We go to Culver City, California. Tim's with us. Hey, Tim, go ahead.
Hey, good evening, George and Leslie. Thanks for taking my call.
Thank you.
And my question is, ever since I've been a little kid, I've been taking steps, no matter how small, toward the career that I really wanted. And in my mind and heart, I'm always heading toward that. And then life happens, and the conventional wisdom is, do what you're good at, and then when you could afford, when you're more secure, then head toward what you love. Well, now I am more secure, but I'm older, and I'm trying to decide if I should still go pursue that career or just enjoy my life and ride out these turbulent years you're talking about, like everybody else.
Okay, so if I was you, I would definitely go for it. I think that one of the problems in your chart where there's an imbalance is that you have low Earth in your chart. You are a Capricorn, but that is the only thing you have in your chart that's earthy. So you need to have a very grounded, practical plan, because otherwise you can spend a lot of time thinking, and what you need to do is just actually start taking action steps. But you're supposed to be doing what you're passionate about. I mean, I have a theory that when you're a little kid and there's something that you want to grow up to be, that's a very important indication of what your life path is about. So you mentioned you've been wanting to do this for a long time. I would definitely go for it.
All right. Good luck, Tim. I assume, Leslie, you do not hold back when you're ready to give an astrological reading.
I don't hold back. I am incredibly aggressive, and I don't give up either. I just had a client recently who I saw there was a lot of trauma in her chart, and for 45 minutes she said, no, I'm happily married, I have 4 kids, and blah, blah, blah. And I said, wow. And then finally at the end I found out that she had 4 different children from 4 different men, had actually been raped at a Christmas party, and all these traumatic things. She gave up one of her children to her aunt, but it took me 45 minutes to get her to tell me what was going on, and I realized that you have to deal with trauma, otherwise it tends to fester. So we need to get things up to the surface. So yeah, I'm pretty aggressive. I want people to know that I've got their back, and I am not going to give up. I'm going to figure out how to help you get to where you want to go. There's no way you can sit on all that trauma and not have it affect you.
How do you deal with people who go, this is just mumbo jumbo?
Well, those people are fun sometimes to work with. A lot of times if people buy a gift certificate for someone and I'm dealing with someone who didn't actually want the reading, I will start off the session because I can tell by their chart, George, that they're worn into it. I said, you don't believe this works, do you? And they laugh and say, no, my wife gave it to me. I said, great. I said, I love the fact that you don't believe in this, but I said, just listen to what I have to say and entertain the possibility that I might be right. And usually by the end, they're laughing and saying, wow, that wasn't what I expected. So it's actually kind of fun for me. I don't mind people who don't believe. I think it's healthy to have a skepticism about this. I think that until you've had an experience with it in the way that I do it, it's hard to believe that something could be this accurate, but it actually is. And like I said, I'm here to help people calm down. And I wanted to also mention that I do have a YouTube channel where it's just Leslie McGuirk Astrology, and it might be helpful for people if they're feeling anxious and nervous to check out some of the interviews that I've done on my channel where I talk to people who have inspired me and helped me find my way, because I think we all need tour guides. You asked me earlier, who helps me out. Well, there have been people who are very, very inspiring for me. And
you've had a lot of people touch your lives, Leslie. Thank you for being on the program. Do come back. Up next, the science of consciousness.